Since sophomore year in high school, that's when I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I just didn't know what subject because I thought it had to do with like my grades. And so I chose English because it related to me or connected with me the most in my own experience. There's a bunch of teachers that were just really created powerful emotional, psychological experiences within class and the discussion, and that resonated in me because I felt connected to my classmates, and I felt connected to the teacher, and then therefore the school. The beauty about English is that no kid is ever going to come to me and say, when am I ever going to use this? Because if you read, if you write, and you study characters, every character has personality traits that you're going to find in real life. You'll never read the same ever again. Got it? I don't want you to. You shouldn't. Now that you've been exposed to the information, all right?
Energetic, enthusiastic, and caring. He's just, you don't go into Mr. McGill's classroom and get bored or put to sleep because he's never boring or low energy. It's always high energy and very engaging. He's able to instill an incentive in them to do really well in his class because he first shows them trust and respect, and it's a real safe place for students to learn in his classroom. And so he really challenges his students to go beyond what the curriculum even thinks that they can. And so they're prepared not just for high school, but they're prepared for life once they've finished Brian McGill's class. I wish every kid in Chesterfield County could spend a year in Mr. McGill's class.
As long as I'm genuine and sincere about what my intentions are, sort of expressing my concern and love and support to these kids because they're respectful to me, then I can be respectful back to them, and we can have this relationship. It kind of transcends, the generational gap, because it really what it comes down to is, am I ready to learn and do I want to learn, and can this guy provide me with learning that's going to connect or interest me or engage me? And I think that one thing I do well is that I shape my discussion and arguments and points that I make with the literature in a way that gets them emotionally involved. And so from there, they start to sort of feel comfortable about expressing themselves, expressing their ideas, their opinions, and then backing them up. And so that sort of like speech and debate is really critical into the development of young people's brains. Blank, there's 3 changes. Okay? So be more specific. You said he was nice. What did he do that was nice? All right, dynamic character. All right, what's the definition?
Of the 34 years that I taught, it's probably the best 9 years of my teaching career were the ones that I got to spend teaching with Brian. He was one of the few English teachers that recognized the value in collaborating and the students making the connections between a social studies curriculum and the literature in which they were reading. And students would walk into my room and have those aha brain moments because, oh, in the book Brotherhood we're reading in Mr. McGill's class, this was going on, and it just enlightened everything. And the students were able to analyze and critically think about material in completely different ways because it wasn't like they were learning in a box in one classroom and getting out of that box and going into another one. It was a seamless connection. It was just wonderful for the students to be able to have 2 teachers that collaborated together because it was in their best interest that that collaboration occurred.
For me, it's a little bit of a calling. Like, over my 29 years, I've thought about doing something different from time to time. But it's really weird, like my instinct, even as a sophomore in high school, was like, I think I'd be really good at this. And I feel like I have been because I've gotten a lot of positive feedback over the years. And so I wonder if this is just where I'm supposed to be. Do you go somewhere and make more money, but would I be happier? You know what I mean? Or would I be miserable because I would not, like COVID was awful because I didn't realize how much the kids filled me up, you know what I mean? And gave me the energy that I needed to give back to them, the relationships. So without that, like I couldn't see myself in a cubicle. I just don't think I could do that. I need to be connecting with people. And I just don't know if there's as many jobs out there like that as there's ones like this. Because real education is, I think, educating the whole student. not just the academic side of it. There's a spiritual and emotional side, a psychological development, all those things. And I think that kids need as much support as they can get. I don't think they can have too many adults in their life that love them.